The burning of Black Wall Street, the Tulsa Massacre of 1921. It was the summer of 1921. Tulsa, Oklahoma, was a booming oil town. Money was flowing. White families prospered. But just across the railroad tracks, in the Greenwood district, something extraordinary was happening. Greenwood was known as Black Wall Street. It was one of the wealthiest black communities in America, a place where black doctors, lawyers, business owners, and entrepreneurs built a thriving economy in the face of segregation. There were movie theaters, luxury shops, restaurants, grocery stores, banks, and hotels. Families owned fine homes. Children attended good schools. It was proof of what black Americans could accomplish, even in a deeply racist society. But in May of 1921, all of that was destroyed in less than 48 hours. It began with a single incident. On May 30th, a young black shoeshine named Dick Rowland stepped into an elevator in downtown Tulsa. Inside was a white elevator operator, Sarah Page. What exactly happened between them is still debated. Some say he tripped and accidentally grabbed her arm. Others say she screamed. But by the next day, rumors spread like wildfire. A black man had assaulted a white woman. In the Jim Crow South, that accusation was enough to ignite a lynch mob. By the evening of May 31st, a crowd of white men gathered outside the courthouse where Rowland was being held. They demanded he be handed over. But the black community of Greenwood knew what that meant. Lynching was common, and they weren't going to let Rowland be killed without a fight. Dozens of black World War I veterans, trained soldiers, marched to the courthouse with rifles, determined to protect him. Tensions rose. Words were exchanged. A shot was fired, and chaos erupted. Through the night, white mobs flooded into Greenwood. They looted homes, burned businesses, and shot residents in the streets. Airplanes, yes, airplanes, were used to drop incendiary devices, firebombing the neighborhood from above. By dawn, Greenwood was in flames. For the next 24 hours, the destruction continued. Families fled in terror. Mothers carried babies on their backs, running from gunfire. Fathers tried to defend their homes with whatever weapons they had. But they were outnumbered, outgunned, overpowered. When it was over, the once thriving Black Wall Street lay in ruins. Estimates vary, but historians believe as many as 300 black residents were killed. Thousands more were left homeless. More than 1,200 homes were burned. Dozens of businesses destroyed. The wealth of an entire community gone. Generations of black prosperity erased in 2 days of hatred. And then came the silence. For decades, the Tulsa Massacre was covered up. It wasn't taught in schools. Newspapers downplayed or justified the violence. Survivors were silenced by fear. Imagine losing your family, your home, your business, your entire neighborhood, and then being told to stay quiet about it. That was the reality for the people of Greenwood. But the truth never fully dies. Survivors passed down their stories. Children grew up hearing whispers about the night Tulsa burned. And slowly, the pieces of history were uncovered. Today, the massacre is recognized as one of the worst acts of racial violence in American history. But recognition came nearly a century too late. The tragedy of Tulsa wasn't just the destruction. It was what was stolen. Families who had built wealth were pushed back into poverty. Children who might have inherited businesses were left with nothing. The generational wealth gap between black and white Americans widened. And Tulsa is one of the clearest examples of why. Because when black Americans build prosperity, too often it is met with violence. The massacre also raises hard questions about justice. No one was ever prosecuted. Not one member of the white mob was held accountable for the deaths, the arson, the looting. Insurance companies refused to pay out claims for the destroyed businesses, calling it a riot, not terrorism. And so, the victims were left to rebuild from ashes, without compensation, without justice, without acknowledgement. Even today, survivors and their descendants are still fighting for reparations. They argue rightfully that you cannot erase wealth, erase lives, erase futures, and then simply move on. But the legal system resists. Politicians stall, and time is running out, as the last living survivors are over 100 years old. The Tulsa Massacre forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth about America. Racism isn't just personal prejudice. It isn't just hateful words or isolated acts of violence. It is systemic. It is collective. It is entire communities being destroyed because of the color of their skin. Tulsa is proof of how far hatred will go to preserve white supremacy. So, what does it mean for us today? It means we must remember, because forgetting allows history to repeat itself. It means we must fight to tell the truth, even when it's painful. And it means we must honor those who lost everything, not just with memorials, but with real justice. The ashes of Black Wall Street still speak. They remind us of the brilliance and resilience of the Black community, and the violence that sought to erase it. But they also remind us that truth cannot stay buried forever. So, when you hear the name Tulsa, don't just think of a place. Think of what was built. Think of what was stolen. Think of what was silenced. And remember the voices of those who cried out in the flames, whose stories demand to be told. This is not just history. This is America. And the question remains, what will we do with the truth? Share your thoughts with me in the comments section.